Morning. This is the president of the Small Ruminants Association, Trevor Bernard. Today I am at Ricky's farm. We are in the Kingston 11. You know, I always have my Kingston farmers all over Kingston because that's the parish that I live in, Kingston and St.Andrew. I come to take a visit on Ricky's farm today because he had a lot of problems associated with all the rain and all the sicknesses, and he had some debt on his farm. So we're going to take a look and have some discussions on this topic. He's just coming from where you went and cut this bush this morning?
I went on the boulevard.
Okay, he went on the boulevard and cut some wild Lucina or wild tambourine. Very good nutritional feeding for his animals. So he's cutting this now to give them. So come, let's have a look at his animals and have some discussions on his problems that he had on the farm. So one of the things, Ricky, you had a bad flooding problem on the farm here because I noticed there's pure mud even after what, 1 week of sun?
Well, yes, really a lot of mud still here because I didn't get the chance to clean out at the time before the rain started falling.
Well, even cleaning out, the water level on this raised till the whole pen was covered with water for a few days, and the animals had to walk in mud.
Yeah.
He also had kidding happening at the same time.
At the same time, which wasn't very good at the time. I was struggling with that because, well, you can see the facility was not 100% as I wanted it to be.
Right.
But when the rain came, I couldn't do anything but try to protect them as much as I could.
Right. So this is one of the things that I always talk about. We have to make preparations for drought. We have to make preparations for rainy time. And rainy time, in my opinion, is one of the times that you lose the most animals. Because you lost about how many animals?
About 10 to 12. 10
to 12 animals, and especially the young kids.
Yeah.
So you have coccidosis and you have the
tetanus from the navel.
The navel and the salmonella.
And the salmonella.
Right. So those three are the things. The three most common things, because you have the fecal content on the ground and in the mud, and they're walking up and the kids born in the water and the rain, and the kids get contaminated and they don't survive it.
One of the other things I got was foot problem.
A lot of
that because they're stepping in the water all the time.
And the mud.
And the mud kind of
foot rot.
kind of like a foot rot. So I have to disinfect when they come inside in the evenings.
Right. So almost every day he has to disinfect and take care of those things. And even flies. Lot of fly problem.
Yeah, but in same time in the rain, the problem I had, I was docking a lot of the lambs that was born. And I had a bit of fly strike, so I lose a couple from fly strike. I could not get rid of the flies, and I couldn't get the Ecoline to use to spray the tail. So from that I stopped docking.
Yeah, I don't really believe in the docking personally, because when you're doing intensive farming especially, you don't really need to be docking. Because I think the sheep, the tail is a natural way that they fan the area and clean the area, So I don't personally believe in docking. Now, out of the sheep and the goat, where you had most of the losses?
It was mostly the goats at the time, because they was the one who having kids at the time.
You were kidding down with the goats at the time. So you lost some nice kids then.
Yeah, I had a boar that I used that came from Clarendon, and maybe just one of the kids is still here.
Right. This is why I've always stressed that your facility is paramount. It is so important to have raised floor, that if you have flood condition, the animals are not able to walk into the mud, you can feed, you can do everything. It is so important to make proper preparations and have a proper facility. Another thing that we have to touch on is even the feed.
Yeah.
You must have some amount of storage facility that you may be able to store a month or 2 or 3 months of feed.
Yeah, I had that because, as you can see, there's a area where I store the hay on the outside.
Right, you have a hay storage area.
I had it on the outside. It's on the outside of the pen.
Right. Okay.
And what happened?
So this is the hay. By the way, this hay here, you collect. One of the things in Kingston, we collect
a lot of cuttings.
A lot of cuttings. So in Kingston, we go around and the waste material, people that cut down trees, cut their lawn,
clear gardens, and stuff like that.
Right. So this is actually lawn cutting.
Yeah, well, this is actually lawn cutting. But
right.
I had here that I get from the cane piece.
Right.
I go down in the cane piece, as you can see, there's some zinc out there. Before the rain start falling, I used to dry the grass that I get down in the cane field. and I used to stockpile it over.
Yeah,
that's my hay storage. That's one of my hay storage.
Right, you stockpile it and store it dry.
Yeah, so when the rain start falling, I have to utilize and use
that dry material.
Yeah, so there's none left now, so I'm just waiting for the sun to come up properly to start drying
again, right.
Healing again.
So that is what he does and store, because when the rain is falling, we had what, 3-4 weeks of rain.
Yeah.
You're not able to go out into the field and cut
come and dry and all of that.
And dry, and you can't even go out in the rain and cut and feed the animals. So you have to store feed. And another thing, in this rainy time and the drought conditions, you need to be feeding grains.
Yes, they definitely have to feed a bit of grain, because you're not gonna get the amount of nutrition that you want from just the small amount that you give them with just grass. So I used to make silage, but I didn't get to make any silage this year or this season because I was busy working at the time. And there was a drought, so the grass wasn't growing as I really wanted it to. So I couldn't really make any silage, but I had here. But when the rain started falling, I just start using it.
Most people who do goat farming on a scale like this usually have a job, and they usually do the goat farming on the side. So most people with a small farm like this do the goat farming on the side. Now, you see, I've always stressed, so you have to have proper management of your facility. I always stress proper facility from day one. You need to have a good facility, and you can use your pallet.
Yeah.
You know, you can use cheap pallets and make your slatted floor and so forth, and make sure you have good roof, because even the rain blow
underneath.
Right.
I was working on the shed, but as you can see, I didn't finish it. So there's still a bit of work needed to do. I'm gonna pull it down completely and use scaffolding iron to build it over this time.
Okay. All right. So you have heard me talk about the body condition, and we did the Famancha scoring recently. Now, one of the things, you need to have a Famancha score of at least 3 or better in your operation. When you have these drought conditions and rain conditions or adverse conditions, you have to keep the body score. Even if you have to buy feeding, storage of feeding, you have to consider all these things. Because if you run down the animal below 3, you will have stillbirth.
Yes, definitely. And they'll struggle to come back in heat to breed again. They're gonna have to build up first before they actually get that activity working again.
And you're also going to struggle with the parasites. Internal parasites and external parasites are going to devastate you, and you will lose animals, because that condition will rapidly go down so fast when the parasites start to attack you. And in a grazing operation, a lot of people sometimes talk to me about grazing operation. You should have a proper pen facility, and when you have rains for 3-4 weeks, you should just keep these animals locked up and just feed them inside. Because remember we did early on, the parasites on the wet grass, the parasites on the wet ground, the muddiness of the soil. It is just a nightmare, and the animals will get sick.
Definitely, they're gonna get sick, and you're gonna struggle with them.
Struggle with sicknesses. It is best to keep them, spend a little money and even buy some feeding if you have to, and keep them on a raise the floor environment and keep them out. Even pneumonia and pneumonia, they'll get sick from pneumonia, and they are different kind of. You have bacterial viruses, you have bacterial sicknesses and the viral sicknesses, and all different kind of things will happen.
If you not do the raise thing, it not gonna work out. Because right now, I reconsider all of this now, because in the next couple of weeks, a bit of work are gonna start happening. Meaning, the sun come out, this floor are gonna dry. I'm gonna dig it all out and get all of this out, and then disinfect. As you can see, there's a spray bottle there that I used to disinfect from the other day to keep the pathogens down. So what I use in that is J's and iodine, strong iodine. So I mix it and then I just mist the whole place.
Even the navel.
In the morning.
Even the navel.
Yeah, when they just
when they just born, you have to put the iodine on the navel, or else they will get infection on the navel, and that infection just run through the body, and you lose that kid. As the kid born, you must put iodine on the navel. And sometimes you have to continue with it for a day or two after.
As long when it dry up, it's fine.
It's fine.
But as just born, you just dip the whole navel in it.
Yes.
And it just you have to put them on a dry kind of surface, like as I said here, or something like that. You just spread it out in the area where you're going to keep the mom and the kids. And once the navel dry, they should be alright then.
And when that cold time and that rainy time, you also should have some bedding in your slatted floor.
Cushion.
Some cushion
off the floor.
Keep them off the floor, and also you need to keep them warm. especially when the kids just born.
Yeah.
You need to keep them warm. So you have to make these preparations that when you are kidding down in a rainy season, you know, you can avoid losing animals, because this affects your production. Because when you lose the kid, you're losing 5 months of having that animal. You're going to lose almost 1 year. Your production is it's going to be part of your production cost, and you will lose a lot of money.
Definitely.
So it is better to spend some money and keep your facility, have good storage facility for feed, and keep these things going, and then you can make some good money out of this goat and sheep operation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know, I find, even though I use slatted floors, I have slatted floors and I have my animals raised off the ground, but I had some breeze and I had a lot of rain blowing in and on my slatted floor, and I found that some of my animals, you know, had cold. Cold was coming through their nose. I had to treat them with antibiotics. You know, I had to treat them with antibiotics when I saw them.
You have to have a little bit more space than regular, because if you have them too clustered, you still get problems there.
Right.
So you have to have a little bit of space.
You have to pay close attention to all your animals at all times.
Yeah, you need to take a keen look at them. Sometimes you need to just come at the pen and just stand up and watch them individually, and maybe you can get an idea how they're feeling on the day, so that if something really going wrong, then you can see it beforehand and then you can maybe treat it.
Hygiene. So we're going back right to it. Hygiene, very important. Proper housing facility, very important. And also feeding, storage, and the availability of feed is very important. Another thing is the vaccination too.
Yeah, you have to vaccinate as well.
You see, sheep, I have found over the years that sheep, you must vaccinate your sheep. Anytime you don't vaccinate your sheep, you find
you're always running a problem.
You're always running problems, and it's best to vaccinate the animals when you're weaning them off. That's the stage that you're doing. Just about
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks for sheep.
Yeah.
For goat is a little longer usually.
Yeah, some people do it at 3 months, which is 12 weeks.
You know, we have to pay attention to all these little things, and once you put all those things in place, then you usually don't have any problems. Because you know something, Ricky, if you have a healthy animal, well fed, healthy and good, you don't have sick animals.
No, you don't have a lot of sick.
Your production just runs freely, and you very rarely have sick animals, and you don't want that. You don't have stillbirths, you don't have, you know, sick and low score. And another thing is the milk production.
Yeah.
Once you have that animal up, that animal and good nutrition, good housing, the milk production will be very high, and those kids are going to grow very fast. You know,
as I said, the milk production, the nutrition it have to be right up on the top.
Right on top. You can't have a low scoring animal and expect that he's going to produce enough milk and you're going to have good growth rate. You're going to have stunted growth in the kids then. So most kids that born at this time usually don't grow very well.
Not unless they're under proper facility and proper nutrition.
Proper facility and proper nutrition is very important. Proper hygiene. All of these things is important for our beloved goat and sheep rearing. Even parasites, even insects like, you know, the flies and mosquitoes and other insects in this wet time can bite the animals, you know, and spread diseases and spread different things, you know. So
you're talking about hygiene. The fact that it's the rainy season now, you get a lot of mosquitoes, so you have to keep the water containers clean.
Clean, right.
You have to keep the trough clean. You have to just make sure so you clean them out and don't leave the water for too long before you actually change it, because mosquitoes start breeding inside of it.
You have to wash out the water trough very often and keep it clean so you're not breeding mosquitoes. And also the flies, sometimes the fly pitch on the feeding and lay eggs on the feed,
and then it
goes straight into the intestines and so forth. You know, these are all problems. So Ricky, I know you had a bad loss, and you know, when we look at your facility, the ground, the water came up very high, and you know, but we learn from our experiences.
Yeah, man, you learn from your experience.
Learn from our experience. He has a grazing area and a play field out yonder. He usually uses that to graze his animals also.
Yeah, but I do that in the afternoons. I don't wait until
you're not doing it right now?
No, not at the minute, but I try to do it when the sun comes really hot, like in the afternoon, maybe 2-3 o'clock. I let them out and that, I let them graze for the evening, and then they just come back.
But not when it is wet, not when it is muddy. You can't do that. You just don't. That's not recommended. So Ricky, thanks a lot for inviting me to your operation and support. I wanted to see how you were struggling with, you know, the facility not too good. I hear your ducks around there.
Yeah, I have a few ducks over there.
Right, we're going to take a look at them shortly. And you know, one of the things I always tell you, the ducks and the chickens and these type of animals, help in control of insects.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they eat the flies and the mosquitoes, and you know, they eat all these things. You can see the condition. If you look at this animal, the condition is not 100%. Hey Ricky, could we have, okay, by the way, when you hear we talk about ducking of the tail, what they actually do is cut the tail off of the sheep. So they duck it. And one of the reasons they do that, they say that it helps with the sheep tail is usually very long, and they get stuck in the pastures and, you know, get prickle and all kind of things. So there is this thing that they duck the tail. If you look at this sheep, the tail is not ducked. So this is how the sheep is naturally. But why I don't duck is because the sheep use this tail and fan away flies, and you know, it's part of the hygiene of the animal. So I don't like this ducking thing, personally. So Ricky is showing us, so we're going to look at, if you look at some of these animals, their condition is very, very poor. You know, Ricky, we wanted to look, what kind of duck is this?
This is a road and a Peking cross.
Okay. He uses the duck to control some of the parasites. Like they eat flies and insects, and you know, when you have them in your pen, they'll walk around and eat some of the insects. So, you know, we have to use these kind of animals. I always like to have these kind of animals in my goat pen and have them around me because they control insects and parasites.
Flies,
right, ticks,
spiders, any little insects like those, they'll just
right, roach. You know, they control those kind of and I also, rat is also a big problem. I always like to have cats around your facility.
You get rid of mice and
rats and
get themselves invited from the smell of the feed.
Feed, right. And they come and contaminate your feed, and they go in your storeroom facility, go in the hay facility, and just, it's a nightmare. Yeah, so you have to rear your animals with other animals to make the operation work successful and work properly. You know, we wanted to look at the animal with the Comanche scoring. Can we just look at a poor animal and then look at an animal that is in better condition? Let us have a look at that.
And then them struggle with the water as well.
So the rain affects the ducks?
The water did come right up inside of this.
Oh, so the water covered inside the floor?
Yeah.
So they struggle?
When we say struggle, it's just the floor just messy. I mean, I get the opportunity to clean it out, yeah?
Okay, you don't take to clean it out yet.
Yeah.
Let's hold an animal now and have a look at the grab one. Yes. Yeah, so one of the things is flushing. Flushing is a word that is used to condition the animals before you breed them. So one of the things, when you run down the animals, or you know, in this flood condition and the rainy season, and the animals get run down, you have to build them up. Spend 2, 3, 4, 1 month, build them up, give them good forages, and you know, make sure you check on their condition, health, both internal and external parasite situation. And when you do all of that, you flush them, and then you usually breed back. This takes a lot of time. You understand? And you lose, it affects your production, it affects your cost. And you know, one of the things that you should do, you should put some money in there for yourself. You should be paying yourself maybe $50,000 to $100,000 a month. You should put that in your production cost, so you can see exactly what is happening. So you put all your expenses together, your feed, your vehicle, motor vehicle expense, and pay yourself, and do all of this when you're doing your production cost. Very important. Yeah. So Ricky, just go ahead, Ricky. So we're going to look at these eyes. If you look at these animals, it's not very bright and pink. It's kind of whitish.
Yeah.
So I would probably grade this. I'm not looking at the chart now, but this probably is about what, 2.5 this of the eye. It is kind of whitish. It's like not pink.
Not pink like how it would normally
right.
look.
So it's maybe 2.5. Yeah. So this animal is in a poor condition. Yeah. Let's have another look at something else. What about this goat? Let's look at this goat and see the condition. And what happens is that you have to pay.
This one is a little bit
This is a little better. This is probably a 3.
Yeah.
This is probably a 3. One of the things that you have to remember is that the reason the eye gets white is because the parasites stick onto the inside of the gut and sucks the blood. They are blood sucking. So when they suck the blood out of the animals, it causes the
animal anemic.
Anemic, right. It makes the animal anemic, and then that causes the animal now to condition to go down. Because what is really happening, when the animal eat the feed and it's going into the body. These parasites are eating back the feed.
Them and them are grab back the nutrients.
Taking out all the nutrients out.
Them get to reproduce all of that fat build up like what them used to get. Because the parasite inside of them will draw them down.
Draw them down. The parasite is eating the food that they are eating. Yeah. Let's have a look at another sheep here.
This should be a better one.
This animal probably will be a better one, he says. The eye is not so yes.
This is a lot better.
This is a lot better. If you look at the eye, how red it is.
Yeah.
So this animal is in a fairly good condition. And people try and remember that sheep and goat, most things about sheep and goat is the same. Most things are the same. You know, and usually most farmers rear both sheep and goat together. Their eating habits are a little different. Sheep tend to eat more off the ground and goat push the head up. So browsers and grazers. That's one of the difference between sheep and goat. But usually they tend to eat almost the same way in general, you know. So Ricky, thank you very much for inviting us to your farm today. We had a look at your situation. I know you have to continue thriving because you love this business.
Yeah man, I love this business, man.
Yes, he wants to be a huge farmer in the future. Right now he's a plumber and he has to work to support his family. So he's building his herd and see what he can grow.
Yeah man, this is a rebuilding process. So after this now, the next time maybe you guys see me, this is going to be totally different.
Right, so thank you so much people for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and I'll continue, you know, imparting the knowledge that I have gained over these years. Thank you so much for all your support.